affordable to all of them. So then we have is Anurag. I and Anurag, we take care of the outreach program for Shulini. And I think Atul has gone. He's the technology backup for all of us here. So that is it.
His good name is?
Kamal.
Dr. Kamal Kant. So I think we're live on YouTube now, and we already have 16 of our teachers with us. Ma'am, we'll wait for another minute before we start. Till then, let's ask Vivek how the weather in Chandigarh is. How is Chandigarh doing?
Good morning, everyone. Thank you, Atul. It's a little cool today, and I see you are wearing a pullover, so it must be cold in Solan. It's pleasant and windy, and yesterday also cool breeze all throughout the day.
You know, I wore this to tease all of you, so wanted to make all of you jealous, right? It's actually very nice out here in Solan. It's 19 degrees at the moment, and you know, the spring is in. The flowers are blooming, and I so wish the students were on campus. Unfortunately, we've got corona everywhere, but it gives us new opportunities. It gives us new opportunities to meet in a different way. It gives us new opportunities to interact in a different way. And I think interactions like these, Vivek, might not have happened if corona wasn't there. So there's a little bit of a silver lining to the whole thing, and I'm sure, ma'am, you'll agree. So what I'll do is I'll just welcome everyone. I'll just take a minute to introduce Vivek and then hand over to Vivek, and we'll then get into a discourse by Vivek. The topic for today is going to be public speaking with poise. So welcome everyone. Welcome on behalf of Shulini University. Shulini University, as you would know, is located in Kasoli Hills. Our focus is twofold. First, provide deep research and innovation in education. And we believe that education, especially in higher education, without research is incomplete. Whether it's LLB or LLM or science or liberal arts or engineering, our belief is always that students should learn how to do things with the hand and create things, which is on the highest part of the Bloom's taxonomy, as all of us understand as teachers. The second thing that we really work on is that we like to work with students who we call our lesser privileged. So intentionally, we try to bring in a diversity of students from larger towns, larger cities, and of course, rural students. And we believe this is what makes Shulini special. Along the presentation, I'll request Vivek to request me to play a couple of videos, which we'll do somewhere in between. And at the end, I'd like to bring in a story of Aman, who was a very shy girl, and how we were able to stretch her to do something exceptional. And then I'd like to talk a little bit about how we're trying to change young minds at Shulini at the end. Vivek, very quickly, is a dear friend. He's a visiting professor at Shulini University, an ex-IS officer. The IT park of Chandigarh is Vivek's brainchild. I think he's done lots and lots of stuff, but that's one of it. Haryana Khada. So I don't know whether you've been posted in Yamunanagar at all, Vivek. You might want to talk about that. A TEDx speaker, a motivational speaker, and a very dear friend and a great human being, I would say. So I think with that introduction, ma'am, I would like you to speak for a minute, and we'll hand it over to Vivek after that.
So, it's a great day, and on behalf of the entire SCR management staff, I heartily welcome Professor Atul Khosla, Provost Vice Chancellor of Shulini University, Professor Atray, Dr. Kamal Kant, and it has been, I think it will be a very wonderful association, and it will go on in times to come. This is my belief, the way we are interacting. Thank you so much, and let's start with the session.
Over to you, Vivek. So I'm going to switch myself off, and I'll hand it over to Vivek. I'll just come in between for playing the videos. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much for that welcome and introduction, Atul and Bela ma'am. It's a wonderful opportunity for us to integrate and interact. Our energies are boundless. We are all sitting in different places, but technology is giving us that opportunity to be connected even in difficult times. And if we look at them, they may be times of difficulty, but they also may be times of opportunity. And there are so many things we can do now which we don't have time for otherwise. So these sessions which Sholini University is organizing for schools, I'm really very thrilled about them. It helps schools to get perspective from Atul and me on what other parameters they can look at in their school's journey, and what are the special skills that perhaps teachers also need, and the ways they need to think, which are different from the normal, usual kind of routine stuff. It's very laudable that Sholini is reaching out to all the schools in the region. And I am also a visiting professor and advisor with Sholini. It's a pleasure for me to be connected here. I can see that you, Bela ma'am, and your husband have, after a long career in teaching, decided to plunge into running a school, and it's a great objective to provide education wherever you are. You talked about parents from various walks of life. It is always interesting to come across people from different walks of life. Some of them may be easy to get along with, some may be difficult, as you said. But there are so many things which are common to all Indians. And I find that this particular era when we are in lockdown, largely our country is showing great qualities of patience, resilience, and bonding and positivity. So it's a great opportunity for us. The topic today is public speaking skills, and it is one of my favorite topics. We will delve into that. But just before that, a motivational note, because I'm a motivational speaker. So all of us go through ups and downs, and teachers who are watching also go through ups and downs. You are human beings after all, and all of us experience various points of worry, stress, fear. We need to retain our poise and confidence despite all the worries and fears, and we need to give that confidence to the children, our own children and our students. And whether we are connected with them, our students on online or through telephone or through whatever, or when we meet them, we must instill confidence. And it is very, very important that as parents also, we keep on motivating our youngsters, because they are the ones who are looking up to us and are a little worried about their future at times, especially college going youngsters or high school students. Many of the teachers may have junior school students as their children, and they all need to be looking up to their parents, and parents need to exude that positivity. Talking about public speaking skills, it is something which is part of your domain. It is a part of your job as teachers to be communicators, because teaching without communication is hardly possible. And whenever you're in a classroom, or maybe you will be having online classes also, and there you have to somehow grab the attention of the student whose minds are distracted. You know that today's era is more distracting because there are so many things happening in the world, and so much of smartphone intervention, so much technology, and there are so many reasons for students to be distracted, so many excuses or reasons, whatever you might look at it as. So we have to engage their attention as teachers. We need to be very strongly connected to them as speakers. And even, let's say, Principal Ma'am and others who are in this forum, at times they have to deliver speeches. And delivering speeches in public is something which comes naturally to some people, but to most people, it is really difficult. And it is also said that the greatest fear of mankind after death is public speaking, because people are so scared to get on the stage and say anything. When they are sitting in the audience, they are all confidence and high morale, and they are speaking eloquently to their friends or wherever they are. Once they get on stage, people say that their legs start trembling, they feel out of breath, they forget the topic. It happens to all of us at times. It could happen to anyone at any time. There have been times, even as a public speaker, as a motivational speaker, when I suddenly find myself on stage and I'm wondering what the topic was and what am I doing here. But that is normally something which comes to an experienced speaker. A speaker who is starting out will be nervous, will be bothered by the fact that so and so will be in the audience. So, how will I speak? So, let me give you some tips. One of the tips I'd like to give you is the first tip to be remembered as a public speaker is that you have to be yourself. You have to be yourself. You cannot try to be Amitabh Bachchan or Hema Malini or someone else. You cannot try to be a public leader like Mr. Modi or Mr. Vajpayee or anyone else. You cannot try to be another personality which you are not. So your persona has to exude your own qualities from stage, and you have to speak in a manner that you are comfortable with. So when you are speaking with friends, especially the younger teachers, I must say, they would have come out of college a few years ago and they would be very comfortable speaking to friends. But when we get on stage, we tend to think that now I have to address 60 people, 100 people, 500 people, whatever it is. And suddenly they feel nervous about the number of people over there. So the first thing to shut out, apart from being yourself, is the numbers over there. You speak as if you are speaking to a small group of people. And I have told young people who are studying, who are still getting into college or jobs, that you must practice public speaking with a small group of friends. So if you practice public speaking with 3 or 4 people sitting in front of you, even in the lockdown, you can do it with your family. Pick up a topic. It could be a topic about movies or sports or society. It could be about food. It could be trends. It could be technology, or it could be education. Just speak for 3 to 5 minutes without stopping and make them listen. And if they are, your family may be impatient at times with you. So you tell them that I'll give you a treat or a chocolate at the end of it, especially younger children. They don't listen very easily. So you have to practice with small groups. And once you get on stage with a bigger group, you will not find it difficult. The second thing to remember is that your body language has to be strong. I'll try to share a PPT at some stage with you in this presentation, in this session. But your body language is something which also gives away the way you are feeling. The day you are not feeling yourself, or if you are very nervous, you will be shifty. Your eyes will not make contact with others. You will keep looking here and there. Your breath will be a little short and your nervousness will show. So body language has to be confident. If you are looking at an audience, you have to make eye contact. One of the ways to do that with a larger audience is that you don't obviously look at each person repeatedly. It's not possible. So what you do, you select one section of the audience, you select another section of the audience, and you select the middle of the audience. And you keep looking at these 3 areas by and by. So if you look at public speakers like Barack Obama, I'll bring in Barack Obama right now. He is the greatest orator in this era. And he speaks with such poise and confidence and calmness and cheerfulness that it is amazing to watch him speak. You listen to Barack Obama's videos, watch him how he delivers his speeches. Very calm and cheerful. So he will look at one side of the screen or of the audience or whatever. He'll look at another side and he'll look straight. So that is another thing to do. To be body language wise, you need to be calm and confident. So Atul, Khosla and I were discussing notes a few days ago that how we remain calm in front of the screen. Even if we are speaking on the screen, we need to obviously keep looking at the screen. Our body language needs to be stable. It cannot be shifty. We cannot go on moving around too much. Sometimes your hand movement will come, but on the screen, you will not use your hands so much because the expression of the hands is not as effective on the screen. However, when you are on the stage, you can even be walking around. In your class, you may be walking, but if you are walking, you are always almost facing the audience sideways or in a way that you are slow and you are looking at the audience almost all the time. And if you look at the audience almost all the time, then they will not get the feeling that there is a moment to escape into some other thoughts. Because with students especially, you have to keep them glued to you. If they think suddenly that, oh, ma'am is looking the other way, or I have a moment to look at my phone, or if they're not allowed phones in the class, they want to look at something else or do something else, then they will get distracted forever. That means the whole class is gone in their perspective, that attention has gone. So we have to keep looking at them and we have to look at them cheerfully. A little bit of smiling, more smiling is required. So when I started public speaking, one of the great bits of feedback I got was, and even now I need to, that you don't smile enough. So I was able to speak, I was able to exude confidence somehow, I was able to use good body language and be stable, but I didn't smile enough. And especially when you're telling some story or anecdote, then you must smile. Another thing is to bring in these stories and anecdotes into whatever class you have, whatever speech you have. It is often that we go through the routine and people are delivering PPTs. When people deliver PowerPoint presentations, it is not enough to just read out what is written on the slide. You have to explain what is written. You have to bring in energy into your whatever you're saying and bring in a story or an anecdote. It is very, very important to bring in a story or an anecdote. I will tell you about somebody called, it's a difficult name, but I will try and send you the name later. His name is Dhananjay Hetarachi. Now, Dhananjay Hetarachi is a Sri Lankan American. And Dhananjay Hetarachi is one of the greatest orators again of this era. He won the World Championship of Public Speaking a few years ago. He talks about his life in that 7-minute speech. Only 7 minutes. I have already been speaking for more than 7 minutes here. It is a 7-minute speech in which he goes from his beginnings of life to where he is today, and how the incidents of his life helped him, how he was able to win over people who were against him, how he was able to come out of difficult times, how people helped him and guided him and he loves them for it, how he found a match, how he got married, how he got a job, how he became a public speaker, and with great stories, all in 7 minutes. And you never get the feeling that he's rushing. You never get the feeling that he is, in a hurry. And you are amazed at how this person can speak so well. So maybe we'll send you that link after this. And you can see Dhananjay Hetarachi's videos on YouTube also. Great body language, great presence. So what we need to do is also to develop our personality a little bit so that it exudes that aura, that confidence. Even what we are not saying matters. So when we are in a classroom situation or on a stage, 80% or 70% of the impact we have on the audience is actually non-verbal. It is not what we say or how we say it, but how we are. So our presence over there, the body language, the smile, the confidence, the aura, the positivity, all these things are extremely important when we are speaking. So getting more into a little bit of detail of how we speak in public. But before that, I think right now we can request Atul to show a video because it is a very creative pursuit that Shulini University has undertaken. Shulini University undertakes a lot of research. And this student, Aman, about whom Atul spoke, Atul will tell us her story. And please show the video of the wonderful research work done by her in water. Yes.
Thank you, Vivek. I wanted to share the story because, first of all, smiling, it is so important. And I think at least I don't smile enough. So Bela ma'am, what we did was something very interesting. We actually created a small app that you put on your mobile. It's an app which is created by Shulini students. It uses artificial intelligence to evaluate your speech on 4 parameters. Your smiling index, your body language, your content, and your speech modulation, which are very, very critical. So when I took the test, Vivek, I got very high scores on 3 parameters, but my smiling index was actually very poor. So I try to smile. I try to artificially smile now as I speak, and I think it's so important.
Yeah.
So the whole debate about smiling came about in the election of John F. Kennedy versus Vice President Richard Nixon. So Richard Nixon was a person who had huge amount of content. He could speak brilliantly on any topic, while John F. Kennedy was someone who was known to be more like an actor. He didn't have huge content with him. But ultimately, it's Kennedy who won the election. And he won it because of his smile. Because when you speak, the first thing people look at is your body language and your smile and how you come across. And content then becomes second. Having said that, content is like the kavach of Karan. If you don't have content, you either need to be as brilliant as John F. Kennedy or you'll just fail. And I think most of us are not as brilliant as Kennedy or Mr. Modi and the likes. I mean, these are gifted orators. For normal people like me, at least, the power of content becomes very important. So the power of knowledge is very important. I want to give the example of our very own student, Aman. Aman comes from a very small town in Gurdaspur district in Punjab. Comes from poor parents. We actually gave her scholarship from her BTech, MTech, and then PhD. She was a bit of a troubled child, very shy at speaking. And then she got into deep research during a PhD program. And she started working on water. She came up and discovered a great molecule that can purify water, to the extent that she presented at, she applied for an award called the World Water Fellowship. This is an international award given by the United Nations, the World Health Organization. And out of more than 100,000 people, researchers across the world, Aman won the first prize and she went to Geneva. Post that, she then won a 25 lakh award by Tata Trust and Lockheed Corporation on this whole topic of water. Mind you, each of these awards were given post a presentation, post a public speech. So I'm going to play a half-a-minute video on the work that Aman has done just to illustrate the point. So that's the story of Aman, from a very shy village girl to actually becoming a world researcher. I think all of us can do it. Every student of ours can do it. Every student coming from, whether it's a rural area of Himachal or Yamunanagar or Haryana or Punjab, can do it. And I keep on showing this example, Vivek, because it's so inspiring for me. So over to you.
Thank you, Atul. It's a really inspiring example. And since the school also is dealing with young children from various quarters, various walks of life, it's very inspiring how youngsters can achieve excellence despite coming from difficult backgrounds at times. And since we are talking about confident public speaking and with poise, it is very important for us to instill this confidence in them. And confidence is something that is really, really required in a personality today in 2020, especially. Gone are the days when we could be shy and quiet. In any organization that we work for, we have to speak up. In today's world, with video conference, with PowerPoint presentations, with lots of calls happening, even a junior person in an organization, a company or a government office also has to speak in a meeting, in a whatever. Suddenly you have to present something, and it is important, even in that short 5 minutes or 2 minutes, whatever that person speaks for, that he makes his point or she makes her point across with confidence and with clarity. So speaking clearly with confidence is something which is extremely important. And if we look at the example, once again, we already spoken of Barack Obama, Atul spoke of John F. Kennedy. I would like to again bring up Mr. Atal Bihari Vajpayee. You see, Mr. Vajpayee was someone who could speak in a way that connected with the audience amazingly. So Vajpayee would pause a lot. If you look at his speeches in parliament, he would suddenly, it would seem that he has stopped, and there would be this great silence. And everybody's looking at him whether he's going to start or has he finished or what is it. And suddenly he will come up with great statements again with energy. So one of the tricks to learn is that a pause is essential whenever you're speaking, because people then are able to, the audience is able to ingrain and grasp what you're saying. Some people have the tendency to rattle off things at a very fast pace and without letting the audience absorb what is happening. So it's important to pause, maybe smile at that time, maybe just let them quietly take in what is coming, because sometimes that information is difficult or the content is not easy to grasp. Even if it is easy to grasp, the impact that a speaker makes by adopting a pause and then start approach will be better than just rattling off things. And then let's come to voice modulation. There is something which I never learned professionally, but I realized while reading, let's say from a book, that it is important to modulate your voice. So you cannot just speak in one tone. Monotonous tone will not do for a teacher or a speaker. It's not like we just say something like, the weather is very nice. Yes, it's very good. We should be doing this. We should be doing that. So it is something very monotonous. We have to keep on raising our voice, lowering our voice. The pitch and tone also have to change. It is a professional thing, but you can just read up a little bit about tone, intonation, and also how your diction is. English teachers know that diction is very important, pronunciation is extremely important. And sometimes I won't name that person, but I'll just give you an instance. I had a book launch recently. Finding Success Within is my book, and I will show it to you a little later. One of the chapters in that is called Handling Difficult Bosses. Now, it is not on the lighter side, it is actually a serious thing. Sometimes we have difficult bosses and we have to handle them. And one of the speakers at my book launch, he said handling difficult buses in a way, because his pronunciation was like that, his natural pronunciation from his native language. So the word bosses was not clear, and therefore the audience took a while to grasp what he was saying. So it is very, very important that we make sure that our pronunciation and intonation is clear and confident and calm. Also, let me tell you a little bit more about public speaking. You have to prepare your content very, very carefully. Even an unprepared speech has to have some background, some foundation, some content. Because even a person like, let's say, the principal suddenly has to give a speech to students who are not behaving well, or they are, creating some kind of indiscipline in the school, or to some teachers who have a meeting, and the teacher is not prepared. But because of years of experience, because of years of knowing what to do, what to say in such a situation, the principal is able to speak. And therefore, there are certain points which must be present in us all the time. That, we are, whatever topic we have to speak on, we have to have a certain foundation of those. It could be positive energy. It could be the need for discipline and punctuality. It could be the need for human skills like emotional intelligence, like people skills. It could be the need for hard work and devotion and dedication. So these points could be a part of you. And when you feel strongly about them, then whenever you have to speak, wherever relevant, you will bring out these things. But content is very important. So before each session, before each class, before each speech, you have to read up what you're going to say and make points, and make those points so that I don't write down everything, but you just make some points, and on those points, you know what to say. You have already read enough to be able to tell some story, come up with some anecdote, or whatever it is. If you recall Sachin Tendulkar's retirement speech, he spoke for 25 minutes on his retirement from Test cricket at the ground. In those 25 minutes, he thanked the whole world. How many people helped him throughout his career, how he came into greatness by virtue of his mother, his coach, his in-laws, he even mentioned, his friends, his colleagues, his supporters, fans, and how he just wrote down. I saw a picture of his sheet where he just wrote about 12 or 11 points. And each point he was able to speak for 5 minutes. And it was amazing to listen to him. As a cricketer, to deliver a great speech like that was something phenomenal. So it is important to be prepared with good content. Another tip that I'll give you, we should balance out our content. It should not be that I have 6 points and I spend too much time on the first two. Then on my next four will be rushed through. So I need to balance out a portion time, and I need to keep the clock or watch ready that I have done 5-10 minutes on this point. I need to move to the next one. Teachers know that. They have a lesson plan, they have a content, and they have to speak accordingly. But on stage also, you know that a politician doesn't know when to stop speaking, but professors and principals, they know. Normally, when we are on stage with a professor, at times he starts speaking, and the joke is that a professor won't stop speaking before 40 minutes, because that is the normal tendency in a class or a school or whatever it is. So these are the things that we need to practice, that if I have to give a 5-minute speech or a 10-minute speech, then accordingly I have to modulate or revise my content and apportion enough time. So content is extremely important. Apportioning that content is extremely important. Then the next point I'd like to say is we need to know when to end. Sometimes we don't know when to stop. And there is a saying, please make sure you have finished speaking before your audience has finished listening. Now that's a great speech, a great quote. The audience span of attention, especially in 2020, is very short. That's why you see on YouTube short videos, short messages. And even in this session, we're not taking it for hours. We're taking only potent content which is important for you. And that's why we keep switching to the other aspects of it. So if you look at it, you have to know when to stop. And you have to also, in the beginning, give a kind of introduction. Then you have to give your points. And at the end, you have to give a conclusion which stays with the audience, stays with the class, stays with the students. And if you watch a movie, you know it. How you come out at the end of the movie feeling in a particular way, that is the impression that you will carry about that movie. So when you watch a movie, the last few scenes and the last feeling that you have, that is how you leave the hall. You may have seen a great first half, but in the last bit, the movie has to end with a great finish, a spectacular, impactful, meaningful, and inspirational message. So that is how a speech has to be. A public speaker has to make sure that the end is not just whimpering away. It is very important to leave with an impact. And therefore, the last few words, in fact, need to be spoken a little louder with a little more force so that people remember. And my daughter Kavya, who is into theater and speaking, now she's realized initially when she used to speak, she would eat up the last word of the sentence. So, you know, this is a very good day, but something. So the last word needs to be emphasized. People tend to get on to the next sentence and forget to say the last word loudly. Now she's become an orator on stage and she goes into theater very confident. But otherwise, it was at times a problem for her to keep her pitch and voice high. So that is also very important. So these are the things which matter. Another thing that I would give you is that you must rehearse your anecdotes and stories. You must know which stories are going to fit into this topic. It is not that suddenly you remember something, although that also is possible, that because you are so experienced, you have some stories which are going to fit in there. But you need to think that today my topic is this, so I need to speak on this particular topic, and I need to have that example or that story. So I'll again mention Barack Obama. Obama is the real gold standard for public speaking. You just look at him and watch his videos, how calm he is, The calmness is something which we need to adopt even in life. In another topic, we were talking about how to retain calmness even in this era of great stress and restlessness. And if you look at him, it doesn't seem that he was the president of the US when he was speaking at that time, and how much of a family man he is. So it's very, very important to retain that calmness wherever you are, and especially on stage in public speaking. It is extremely, extremely important. So these are the things that I have. I'll pass over to Atul, because Atul has a video to show you about Shulini. And this video is a beautiful video to watch on how Shulini is emphasizing research and on the way to becoming a top global university in the 200 top global universities. Yes, Atul.
Thank you, Vivek. Before I get into that, I'll take a bit of liberty to give a few tips on how to present in the online era. We're all moved to a new era over the last few weeks. We've moved from classroom teaching to online teaching. And many people are saying that going forward, we're going to move to the world of blended learning where online and offline is going to be together. We don't know the answer as yet, but definitely all of you as teachers, some point of time in your life will be in front of the camera, will be in front of students in platforms like these. You might already be doing classes, I think, using Zoom or other platforms. So I thought I'll give 4 tips for you. And how do you give an impression when you're not having eye contact of the child? I think the first one is, please make sure that if you're giving a lecture, you're teaching out of home, you do it from a designated workspace. So it's important that you have a place which is quiet, which doesn't have children floating around, and is as serious as your workplace at work. The second small tip, which I learned from my dear friend Vivek, is to have a nice backdrop. It just gives it a professional look. People will see that as a professional way. They'll take a little more seriousness towards your talk, your speech, your lecture with that small little effort. So, of course, I didn't have many people around, so I picked up a few posters here and there, got a couple of paintings, and I think so did Vivek, and we created a small studio. My third thought to all of you would be, please dress the way you would in your school when you're in front of the camera. I've been talking to many of my professors. We are now 100% virtual, but when I was reviewing them, now the good news is I can review every professor because every lecture is recorded now, Vivek. So I can actually go into the class and see what's happening. So remember that you have a great opportunity to become a great actor or an actress. Think about your camera as you're acting in front of someone. Put 100% into it, but please dress properly. It's very easy, like you would in school. Don't be sloppy. Finally, I would say the new world is the world of punctuality. I think it's less relevant to teachers. It's more relevant, I think, to students and people in higher education. We tend to be a little sloppy on time. But if it's 11:30, be there 11:28 so that you're on time, you're inside the classroom or you're inside the webinar, whatever that is. So these are 4 small tips, very tactical. In terms of Vivek, my story very quickly, I could not speak at all. I would actually stammer till I started working. My first job was with one of the leading, probably one of the best companies in the world, a company called McKinsey & Company, where I got a job. Within 3 months, my CEO called me and said, Atul, we have to let you go because you do not have the right skills to speak. पैरों से ज़मीन खिसक गई, विवेक लगा कि अब क्या होगा. But I had the gumption to ask him, and I asked him and said, please give me 6 months, and he did. So I started using technology at that point of time. I had a small video camera. I'm talking about 1995. For the next 7 years, every day in the morning for 1 hour, I would practice speaking in front of the camera. I did that every day for an hour. I don't think I'm a great speaker, but I think I can do justice to my job today. I don't stammer, and I can be quite okay. So practice, practice, practice is what Vivek said. Coming back to Shulini, the objective of Shulini, just like your school, Bela ma'am, is to provide great education to the young minds. We are in the service of young people. We made a small video about it because we believe the work that we are doing as teachers is unique. Few people talk about us as Corona warriors, but I believe all you teachers are Corona warriors because you're ensuring that learning doesn't stop. You're ensuring that students are there, children are there, taking care of, they're not restless anymore because you're in front of them with your lectures, with your class notes, with all the great work that you're doing. So with that, I'm going to take a minute and play this video. Hopefully you'll like it. It's the philosophy of the way we think about Shulini and the way we think about India.
Throughout history, the young have always been the ones to shape the future. And they continue to do so today. You are the country's biggest asset, our best bet to conquer the future. So what are you waiting for? Your time to dream is now. Dream of the research that can change the world. Dream of a high-flying corporate career. Dream of higher studies in the world's best universities. Dream of developing cutting-edge technology of the future. Dream of your own global startup. At Chhotu University, we empower you and enable you to chase your dreams and change the world. Chhotu University. Think learning, think success.
Thank you. So I think would love to hear questions and answers, questions from all of you. But before that, any last thoughts, Vivek?
Yeah, wonderful video, inspiring. I would like to just conclude by saying that it is very important to encourage young students from various parts of India, wherever they come from, because encouragement works much better than being strict or being negative about them. And even one discouraging remark, when somebody goes up to stage to speak or is speaking in class or is just trying to be confident, and somebody says something disparaging, negative, and that stays with that student, hurts that student a lot. So the teachers have to be careful about what they say to the students and try and encourage them whenever possible. But if something negative is to be said, then it has to be said in a manner that doesn't hurt or pinch them too much. And therefore, I think all your teachers who are there on screen, I mean, in this session, they can take away these thoughts that I shared, Atul shared, and a great idea, Atul, that practice before the camera. It's a very important one. And just to hear about the fact that you used to stammer, I didn't know. And now you are as if you were made to speak in public. There are so many people who have done the hard work and got where they are today. just by virtue of that, never say die spirit. And that is something which teachers as well as students need to continue in. So yes, I have a question already, Atul. I think it's from Kamal at the moment. And Kamal Segalji is saying, is content more delivery or content more important or delivery more important? So I think content is extremely important, and I would first put content a little ahead of delivery, but it is a 51-49 scenario. 51% is the content and 49% is delivery in my view. And delivery is extremely, extremely important, because with great content also you may not get your message across to the audience if you're not able to deliver it in a balanced, calm, and clear and precise, confident way. So it's very important to have your delivery under control, your methods, your plan, your body language, your pauses, confidence, everything has to be there. And content has to be prepared in advance. You have to have apportioned timings for each part of the content, and therefore both are important, extremely important. More questions?
Uh, I wanted to make a small point on body language,
Yes.
Vivek. So it's something which I learned. So many of us, when we're giving speeches, we use our hands as if there's war happening. We've got a sword with us and we're going to kill everyone. But there are amazing ways that you can actually use your hands to speak. For example, if you're to say, I have got 3 things to tell you today, 1, 2, 3, you can actually use the hands very beautifully. You could say, I've got 3 things to tell you today. The first one, the second one is this, and the third one is this. So using body language, one can actually do some amazing stuff in terms of communicating. Another thing to be careful about body language is example I have, which I heard about Bill Clinton. So when Bill Clinton was the governor of Arkansas, if I'm right, he had a habit. He had a habit of showing his finger, which, by the way, our prime minister also has. So he would point his finger. Now, this is extremely threatening when you're giving a public speech, to point your finger as if you're going to kill the guy right on the other side. So his advisors, when he was contesting for the president, worked very hard to say, keep your hand, behind, please don't do this, but they couldn't. So what they did was they moved his finger inside and his thumb outside. So you'll see all his speeches as president, he speaks with his fist and thumb outside. So it's very important, especially about, simple things like these. The next myth is, should we use a podium or not? And my belief is a podium is for weak people. A podium is to protect yourself. Great speakers should not use the podium. That's my belief, unless it's something very, very formal. We were with Shiv Khera the other day. Shiv Khera is an amazing speaker, Vivek's uncle, and he actually walks into the audience as he speaks. And that was a great learning for me. Anyway, those are a few thoughts which I thought I should leave as I've learned speaking over the years. A question that Bela ma'am was asking, Vivek, which is, we are dealing with many times students and parents, especially from rural areas, from sometimes lesser privileged families. And several times it's difficult to communicate to them. How do you sort of go about doing that? This is not public speaking, but it's more about building a connect, ensuring that they understand that our messages are honest and they implement them. How do you go about doing that?
Yeah, so this is a great point. Actually, I've also served in Haryana and Kalka and Narayangarh and areas like that, where people are from all walks of life, and sometimes villagers, they don't understand, or even urban denizens. So what you need to do is probably build up a rapport and some kind of communication. It is very important that you sit with such a person a little longer, and that emotional intelligence inside you will tell you how to talk to that person and how to be a patient listener. So to build a rapport is important, to come to the level of that person. It may be higher than you or lower than you. We shouldn't think that we are superior human beings, but whatever level that person is at, maybe some colloquial kinds of terminology can be used. maybe some kahavatein from that area, some sayings which these people like, something in a Kalka area used to be. So there used to be, Kalka is a place where people are into a lot of, unfortunately, gambling, drinking, and complaining. So as SDM, I was supposed to instruct people or the police, and we used to work a lot together. So I used to make a little joke about them and say कि कालका के लोग तो बड़े इधर उधर की बातें करते हैं. So then they would also agree with me, and the rapport would be built up. So something needs to be there to connect with that group of people, which they firmly believe in. You also study a little bit more about them and say things which they are comfortable with. That's what I feel can build that rapport.
So Kamal Segalji is asking one more question, Vivek. Any public speaker you dislike the most and why?
Any public speaker you dislike the most? Okay. Very difficult to say. I dislike speakers who speak too much, and I don't want to be biased, but I really don't like TV anchors. And TV anchors at times are just too much. And one of them has an FIR against him, which he deserves, I think. But the point is that there are many other TV anchors too who are just too much. So they need to bottle up a little bit.
I think it's true for radio jockeys too. They play less of songs and more, they probably love their voice too much, as they say. Lovely discussion, Vivek, lovely presentation. I learned so much, and I thought I knew a bit about public speaking. So I hope all of you did too. Extremely enriching. I think before we close, I'd like you, Bela ma'am, to speak for a couple of minutes and ask a couple of questions if you have any.
Instead of questioning and cross-questioning, I would like to wrap up my gratitude sentiment in an Urdu couplet.
Sure.
Irshad.
कुछ इस तरह भी होता है इज़हारे शुक्रिया, कुछ इस तरह भी होता है इज़हारे शुक्रिया, आवाज नहीं होती, अल्फाज नहीं होते. So it was a very big day for us.
क्या बात. Thank you. That's lovely.
Thank you.
मैम आपने इतनी सुंदरता से शेर पढ़ा कि मेरे तो रोंगटे खड़े हो गए. थैंक यू. दो चार ऐसे शेर हमें भी आप दे दीजिए, हम भी कुछ ऐसे बोलेंगे. तो आपने, विवेक ने बोला था ना, एंड बहुत जबरदस्त होना चाहिए. तो मैम stole the show.
Ma'am stole the show.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you. We'll remain
once again, thank you
connected at
everyone.
other
Thank you.
points of time also.
We'll keep in touch. Yeah.
We will be delighted to participate in our journey together, ma'am. I think as Corona opens up, me and Vivek would love to come and visit your school. By the way, मेरे नानका नाहन से हैं, तो यमुनानगर तो काफी पास पड़ता है नाहन से. So I'd love to come over, visit you, and we also welcome
anytime at your convenience. Definitely, it will be a pleasure. And Atray sir, please do make it a special effort.
And हम आपके teachers, students को और आपको भी welcome करेंगे, ma'am. So Shikha will coordinate your trip over to Shulani, and I'm sure you'll enjoy that. Thank you once again. Have a great day. Bye-bye.